Welcome, Federal Way High School parents and students. This is our safe return to campus regarding face-to-face learning Zoom meeting. We're very excited to have you here, and we hope that this webinar will better support you and provide more information about the start of school. That is this Wednesday, September 1st. But first, let me introduce myself and my team. So my name is Matt Oberst. I'm the principal of Federal Way High School. Next, I'd like to introduce Deborah Drake, assistant principal. Then Jana Kelly, assistant principal. And Travis Savala, assistant principal. Also, I'd like to bring to your attention that Federal Way High School regularly updates on our website and our social media. And so we have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook that we try to provide updates on. Please go ahead and join and follow us, and you can receive updates on various activities. Okay, in Federal Way Public Schools, we believe that all scholars have limitless potential, gifts, and talents, and we strive to provide equitable, high-quality instruction for each and every scholar to achieve their greatest potential. We've been working hard to get ready for their return to face-to-face instruction, and we are excited that you are here. Welcome, families. We're so excited to be with you tonight and welcome you and your scholars back to school for face-to-face learning this fall. With many other school districts bringing back scholars in accordance to the health and safety guidelines from our state, the Federal Way Public Schools team of administrators, principals, and staff are gearing up to welcome back our scholars in person. We know that you have been working hard for over the last year during this pandemic to support your child and keep them safe and healthy. Tonight, we will be able to outline for you how we are committed to a safe and healthy learning environment for your child. At the end of our evening, you will have a greater understanding of what our face-to-face instruction will entail. First, you will learn more about our face-to-face education plan, and we will provide an overview of what to expect during face-to-face instruction. We will then dive in around the universal safety precautions for various elements in the school day. During each step, we will outline the safety precautions that will be followed. We will also share details about the universal safety precautions our staff will use through the day, as well as detail our systems for responding to illness in the school and or suspected confirmed cases of COVID-19. In Federal Way Public Schools, we celebrate the rich language diversity among our students and families. If you need language support, you can contact your child's school and request an interpreter. Also, the district website is translatable in over 100 languages, and this feature can be found on the top right of the website. Our family guide for returning to campus will also be available in several languages. We as a district are committed to language access for our families and supporting families in fostering two-way communication with school administration. First, I want to take a moment and honor the partnership that we have strengthened over the last 18 months. In some ways, the pandemic has pulled us closer together as a community, and it certainly strengthened our partnership in support of our scholars. Without you, we could not make the shifts that we have taken during the last year. Now, as we prepare for this upcoming year, I want to thank you for your patience and grace as we have worked very diligently to ensure we are opening with health and safety as a priority. To support our return to face-to-face learning, we have drafted our 2021-2022 reopening guide for families. This guide will provide you with details of what your child can expect at school, as well as our comprehensive health and safety measures. This guide is full of valuable information for families, including tips for setting your scholar up for success, health and safety measures, COVID-19 response protocols, and we'll be highlighting some of this information in today's orientation. As the year begins, we know that families are faced with decisions regarding their scholars' education. There are three main educational offerings for the upcoming school year, which include full-time face-to-face instruction at your scholar's homeschool, online remote program through our Internet Academy, or if you so choose your scholar can engage in homeschool. If the option for Internet Academy is chosen for the 2021-2022 school year, the scholar will remain in Internet Academy for the duration of the school year. We will be welcoming our scholars in grades 1 through 12 back to campus full-time on September 1st. During the first 3 days, we will have intentional focus on creating a learning environment that supports a scholar's sense of belonging within our school. Let's take a look at our schedule for this year. You will see that our schedule has returned to a full day of learning. This means that our scholars will have full class time. This will include a return to our meal service program. This year, all scholars will have access to free breakfast and free lunch at school. And I also want to bring to your attention on the screen, that is our bell schedule for the first day of school. You'll notice that we start all students in advisory at 7:25. I would recommend that your child arrive at about 7:15 to orient themselves and to find their classroom if they're not familiar with the school. And if you would like to know immediately your student schedule, you may look up your student schedule on Parent View, and your student may look up his or her schedule on Student View. I'd now like to introduce Ms. Kelly to continue with our orientation.
Hello. Attendance counts. As we return to face-to-face learning, we will be taking attendance every day. It is important your child attends every school day. Your child's attendance is essential for their success in school. Teachers will take attendance each period. If scholars are not in class for attendance, guardians will receive a safe arrival call out notifying scholars unexcused absence. If your child is going to be absent, you will need to call the school or use Parent View to enter the absence online. If you are considering enrolling your child in Internet Academy and wonder about how this will impact their opportunities for athletics, know that scholars enrolled at a public alternative high school without athletics may participate at the residence public school they would normally attend. We are so excited for face-to-face instruction and are prioritizing the social emotional well-being of our scholars to ensure a strong launch for sense of belonging. Our goal is to have all scholars engage in activities to build relationships and establish a connection to the school. This is especially important this year as scholars have not been on campus full-time in nearly 18 months. We are intentionally planning the first 3 days to include activities to help scholars feel safe, connected, and excited to be here. During the first 3 days of school, scholars will engage in getting to know you activities, social emotional learning activities, and have a chance to get used to face-to-face instruction. We take our guidance from the Washington State Department of Health, which provides guidelines for social distancing, mask wearing, cleaning protocols, response protocols, and activities. DOH guidance was last updated on August 11th, and our protocols reflect the most recent updates. Health and safety at all sites. Across all schools in FWPS, we will continue to implement common practices and protocols to maintain a safe environment for all scholars and staff. These protocols have been developed to align with the Department of Health and OSPI guidelines. At all schools, we will continue to practice social distancing, require masks, and engage in frequent hand washing. We will also have consistent protocols in place for when a scholar or staff member shows signs of COVID or test positive. We have thorough cleaning and disinfecting procedures to keep us safe and an isolation room at every school in case a scholar has symptoms and needs to wait for a parent or guardian to pick them up. To ensure all families have a thorough understanding of health and safety protocols, Federal Way Public Schools have in place for a safe return to face-to-face instruction, I'm going to spend time providing details for each of our safety protocols, universal precautions, school day protocols, operational protocols, and response protocols. For universal precautions, we will first unpack. These are the health and safety protocols put in place to serve as mitigation measures across all sites and locations. The universal precautions we have in place include maintaining social distancing, wearing masks, and frequent hand washing. We will continue our practice of social distancing to the extent that is possible. We will maintain social distancing of 3 feet in classrooms and 6 feet in congested areas where we can. Signage and stickers will emphasize and remain at 6 feet of social distancing, as that is the optimal goal when possible. This will also support us if our rates continue to increase and guidance changes to enforce the 6 feet rather than 3. Everyone will be required to wear face masks when indoors at school, unless there is a documented medical condition that prevents this. This will include on buses, in classrooms, when transitioning between activities, when in the cafeteria, except when actively eating, and also includes the passing periods that occur at our outdoor campuses. When scholars are outdoors for recess or PE, if being taught outside, they may remove their masks. It is recommended that non-vaccinated individuals wear masks in congested areas even when outside. If a scholar, staff member, or visitor does not have a mask, a face mask will be provided. Your scholar will be taught the proper way to wear a mask. This includes covering the nose and chin completely and keeping hands off of and away from their masks. Frequent hand washing will occur throughout the day. Scholars will be washing their hands at arrival and dismissal, before eating, after using the restroom, and after coughing or sneezing. Scholars will wash their hands for 20 seconds or more with soap and water. If a sink is unavailable, sanitizer may be used.
All right, next I will take you through the school day protocols, and that guides scholar and staff behaviors during the specific times of the school day. Next slide, please. When your child rides the bus, they will wear their mask at all times. They'll also participate in social distancing at the bus stop. Windows on the bus will be open to increase the amount of fresh air on the bus. To help keep us safe, buses will be disinfected at the end of each day. During passing periods, social distancing will be maintained to the extent possible. Scholars will walk single file on the right side of the hallway or walkway and will walk immediately to their next location following designated directional routes. This year, you won't be completing a daily health screening at a station, and your child won't have a temperature screen at school. It'll be very important that you monitor your child for any symptoms. If they do have any symptoms, they need to stay home. It's recommended that you get them tested for COVID if they show any symptoms. When your child arrives at school, they'll immediately follow their walking route off the bus or from your car to either go to breakfast or to their waiting area. Recess, if your school does recess, which is elementary. If you do drive your child to school, you will let them out of the car at the drop-off spot. To help with social distancing, we ask that parents and guardians stay in the car and not get out to walk your child to class. We will practice social distancing as much as we can, and we have X's painted on the pavement to help scholars know where to stand as the line up to go inside. During passing periods, social distancing will be maintained to the extent possible. Scholars will walk in a single file line on the right side of the hallway or walkway and will walk immediately to their next location following designated directional routes. Masks will be worn during all passing periods, including outdoor walkways at all sites, and signs will be hung in hallways to remind scholars and staff of expectations. Classrooms will be set up so that scholar seats are at least 3 feet apart. Scholars will stay 3 feet apart when they come to the carpet area or small group tables as well. Scholars will be provided with school supplies, and those materials will not be shared to reduce exposure. Music safety measures and protocols for secondary will continue to be in place at this time. Choir will be required to wear 3-layer masks. If a scholar is playing a breath-based instrument, slit masks will be worn. In addition, bell covers will be placed on breath-based instruments as seen in the picture. To assist with social distancing, music may be moved outdoors. If it is indoors, the space will be large and well ventilated. Windows will be open. When scholars participate in a PE class, they'll wear masks in the class if the class is held indoors. Scholars should be spread out across the gym or class location. If PE is held outdoors, scholars may remove their masks. The use of shared equipment should be limited, and there should be an emphasis on practicing individual games and skills. We will again be serving breakfast and lunch in the 2021-2022 school year. All scholars will have an opportunity to receive free breakfast and lunch. When scholars enter the cafeteria, they'll walk through the meal in a single file line in a one-way route. All scholars will use sanitizer at the beginning of the meal line. Scholars will have access to bags and keep their masks on while they eat, or to keep their masks in while they eat. And once scholars are done eating, they will put their masks back on. 3-foot social distancing will be in place as much as possible. In order to allow for this, secondary scholars will have individual TV trays and chairs to eat at. All tray tables will be cleaned with soap and water between meal periods. At this time, we are allowing visitors on campus to get help in the office. If you visit campus, you'll be required to follow health and safety protocols such as wearing a proper face mask at all times and maintaining physical distancing. Just like before COVID, visitors are required to sign in upon entering the building. At this time, we are not able to allow volunteers in classrooms or guests at lunch. And now I'm going to pass it on to Deborah Drake to talk about the next piece.
Okay. Now we will unpack our operational protocols. These are the procedures that occur during the course of a scholar's day to create a safe and healthy learning and working environment for all scholars and staff. We have placed signs around campus that help to remind scholars and staff of our health and safety procedures and routines. You can see some examples of our signage here. These signs will be used throughout the building as frequent reminders of our safety expectations. Here at Federal Way Public Schools, we have a thorough cleaning and disinfecting plan that we have aligned to the DOH and CDC guidelines. High touch points like restrooms and door handles, fountains will be disinfected multiple times throughout the day. As needed, desks will be sprayed with a soap and water mixture and wiped down by scholars. Outdoor activities do not require cleaning or disinfecting. Good ventilation and indoor air quality are important to reducing airborne exposure. To ensure our schools and classrooms have good ventilation, Federal Way Public Schools has taken the following steps. Having high quality tight fitting air filters that are changed following recommendations. Air filters that have a high MERV rating to keep as much out of the air as possible. Air purifiers with HEPA filters in classrooms, cafeterias, and offices. Air exchanges at least 5 times per hour. Increased fresh air, and windows open, weather permitting. Next, we will unpack our COVID-19 response protocols. Our response protocols follow the guidance of the Department of Health and direct our procedures when staff or scholars show symptoms or have been in close contact with individuals positive for COVID-19. We have established the following response protocols in alignment with the Department of Health guidelines. Suspected cases, the use of an isolation room, positive cases, and contact tracing. Next, I will outline what happens if there is a suspected case or if a student or staff member shows symptoms during the day. If a scholar shows symptoms during the school day, we will escort them to the isolation room away from other students. We will reach out to you to pick up your child. We will ask you to contact your healthcare provider and then follow back up with the school. Any scholar, teacher, or staff who reports COVID-like symptoms must immediately be isolated from others and sent home and referred to diagnostic testing as soon as possible. While waiting to leave school, the individual with symptoms must be isolated in a designated isolation space. Every school will have a designated space as their isolation space. While in isolation space, they must wear their face mask. Anyone providing care or evaluation to the isolated individual must wear appropriate PPE. If there is a positive case for either a scholar or a staff member, they will notify the school as soon as the test result is known. The school principal will contact the district and begin contact tracing to find potential close contacts. The district COVID team will call public health and get guidance around quarantine as necessary. If our staff member or student has tested positive for COVID, the building principal will notify our district lead team and begin the work of identifying possible close contacts. Public health will be notified and the principal will work to notify possible close contacts following public health guidance. To summarize, we have our response protocols laid out here. All cases are supported on a case-by-case basis with the principal district lead team working together following guidance from public health. Due to the federal health laws like HIPAA, specific details related to COVID-19 cases, including confirmed cases, may not be shared with the larger staff or our school community and will depend upon the guidance we receive from public health. Now, Matt will continue.
Thank you, Ms. Drake. So in the event your scholar has been directed to quarantine or isolated at home, Federal Way Public Schools is committed to ensuring each and every scholar has access to learning during this time. While your safety is our #1 priority, should you choose to have your scholar engage in the classroom, our school will provide additional computer devices with a charger for you to have at home. If you are unsure, reach out to your school and someone on staff will be able to support you. We are excited to share that teachers will be using to communicate around learning in the instance that a scholar has to quarantine or isolate and is well enough to participate. Your scholar will need to have access to this from the Launchpad to Learning site, just as they did during our remote learning session. For families needing support in accessing technology at home, there is a financial assistance program through FCC Broadcast Program. This program provides $50 per month financial assistance for internet service and a $100 discount for a device if a family pays $10. This is for qualifying families. Registration is available at phone number 833-511-0311 or GETEMERGENCY broadband.org. Okay, at this time, we'd now like to share a video overview on our return to school.
Make sure the mask is right side up with clean hands. Hold the mask from the straps and lift it to your face. The mask should fit from above your nose to just below your chin. Scholars and staff, regardless of vaccination status, will continue to be required to wear masks while inside at school. When scholars and staff are outdoors, face mask coverings are not required, though they are recommended in crowded areas for those who are not fully vaccinated. If a scholar doesn't comply with wearing a mask, the school principal will call the parent or guardian to come pick up the child. Windows will be open to allow for air circulation and ventilation. Bus drivers will wear masks and clean and sanitize the bus between routes. Scholars will wear a mask and maintain physical distance when lining up to board the bus. Scholars must wear a face covering at all times on the bus. If a scholar does not have a face covering, one will be provided for them. Refusal to wear a mask means scholars will not be able to ride the bus. We will continue to practice social distancing at arrival, and scholars should keep themselves socially distanced from one another in congested or common areas when possible. Just as they did in the spring, scholars will continue to follow identified routes to their classrooms and/or group arrival area, walking on the right side of the walkway. Scholars will proceed to the designated entrance, maintaining social distancing. Signage will remain in place to show where scholars should stand when lining up to enter the building. Scholars will enter the classroom after arrival to engage in learning. Staff and scholars will wear a face covering at all times when at school. Scholars will be assigned to a seat that is spread with appropriate social distancing. Scholars will have their own materials for daily use, and items will not be shared. Families will limit the number of items coming back and forth from home to school. Items should be left at school each day. Classroom spaces will be cleaned and sanitized according to safety guidelines. In order to help prevent the spread of viruses, scholars are required to wash their hands properly throughout the day. Recess will be set up with zones that help scholars keep physical distancing as much as possible. Scholars will have recess with regular student groupings to reduce exposure to different people as much as possible, and will be monitored to ensure physical distancing during activities as much as possible. When scholars are outside for recess, they are not required to wear masks, but it is recommended when an area is crowded or congested. Breakfast and lunch will be served to all scholars enrolled in in-person learning at no cost, regardless of free and reduced eligibility status. In order to provide quick service and better allow for social distancing in line, entree and side choices will be reduced, and scholars will not need to provide their ID numbers. The following health and safety protocols will be in place to keep scholars and staff safe. Hand sanitizer at start of meal line, designated walking paths, designated entry door and exit door when possible, bag to place mask in while eating, touch-free garbage cans, plexiglass at meal service locations, social distancing at least 3 feet during mealtime. We will continue to practice social distancing at dismissal, and scholars should keep socially distanced from one another in congested or common areas when possible. At the elementary level, teachers will continue to escort scholars to their exits. While they are waiting to get on their bus or for their parent to pick them up, scholars will stand on X's to maintain social distancing. At dismissal, scholars will follow identified routes to their bus, vehicle, or walking route.
Thank you. I really want to thank everyone for attending tonight. Thank you for joining this open house to learn more about our return to face-to-face instruction. As I stated at the start, we would not do this work without you. We are grateful for the partnership that will continue this year. I also want to bring to your attention again our different social media that we place frequent updates. So please check that out and follow us at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or our school website. And at this time, this concludes our open house. But if you have questions, please feel free to place the questions in the chat box. Let's see, we have a question in the chat box that says, can we watch this again somehow? We will be posting this on the Federal Way High School website, and the video is also posted on the Federal Way Public Schools website. So that would allow you to watch it again. Let's see, we have a question about, can you clarify about the daily class schedule? Ms. Kelly, could you go back to the slide that has the bell schedule for the first day? So we will put the bell schedule for the first day. Students on the first day report to their advisory class. And again, your student can check their advisory class and their entire schedule right now using the Student View app to check their own schedule. And parents, you may check your student's schedule using the Parent View app. Question is about PE uniforms. There are no uniforms, but your students do need to dress appropriately for PE, which can mean a t-shirt, sweatshirt, shorts or sweatpants, and some kind of athletic shoes. It says next, can I have the fax number for the school nurse? For that record, I would say it'd be best if you could call the school, because we want to make sure that we have the person at the fax machine at the right time, so the nurse receives your records and can confirm them. The bell schedule for a normal day is periods 1, 3, 5, 7 and 2, 4, 6, 8. So your student goes to 4 periods a day, but has 8 total classes. Another question is, how do we make schedule changes? You can make a schedule change. Go to your advisory teacher on the first day and they can provide you with more information on schedule change. You can also ask your counselor and could email your counselor for more questions of what schedule would be right for you. Let's see. This schedule that we're showing you right now is only for 9-1. So only on this particular day are we attending all 8 classes. A normal schedule, again, is 1, 3, 5, 7 or 2, 4, 6, 8. Buses. The bus schedules have been released. If you go to the Federal Way High School website, we have the bus schedules posted on the website. Right on the front page, there's a button that says schedules, and the bus schedule is on the website. You may also call Federal Way High School tomorrow if you have more information about bus schedules. Let's see, we have a question about lunches. How do we know what lunch to take? So Federal Way High School has 2 lunches, and during advisory, your advisory teacher is going to work with you to make sure you know what lunch you will take. And lunch is determined by your 5th period class. So your advisory teacher is going to look at your 5th period class with you and then help you determine what lunch you have. Let's see, there's a question about, will there be blue days and white days? Yes, there will be. And so on one day you attend 4 classes and the other day you attend 4 classes. If you'd like the Federal Way High School bell schedule, the bell schedule is also posted on the Federal Way High School webpage. And right on the front webpage, there's a button that says schedules. And you can click on it and you can download the PDF of the Federal Way High School bell schedules if you like. Yep, and the question, yep, thank you, Mr. Savala. I see you just emailed out the periods of the days. Thank you. All right, does anybody have any more questions? If you have more questions, please place your questions in the chat. So your question is, how long will classes be on a normal day? Normally classes are about 77 minutes, right around that time period, classes on a normal day. But again, we only have on a normal bell schedule, 4 classes a day. So they're about 77 minutes. All right, if anybody has any more questions, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We're happy to assist you. Okay, we have a question that says, will there be an assembly on the first day like what happened a couple years ago? The first day, we will not be able to have an assembly, but we will have lots of different communication and video and use of technology so that we can still communicate even though we're not having an assembly on the first day. Okay, and let me place the website in the chat. We have a question that says, to find the, oh, thank you, Mr. Savala has the website there. All right, do we have other questions? We're happy to help you. Let us know, write your questions in the chat box, please. All right, we have a question that says, will there still be after school clubs? Yes, there will. We still have after school clubs and we'll still have athletics. So we'll have lots of activities for our students to engage in. All right, is there any more questions we can answer for anyone? Please place it in the chat box. Okay, at this time, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. This concludes our orientation. If you have other questions before school starts, feel free to call Federal Way High School. And we look forward to meeting and seeing you on Wednesday the 1st. And remember, be at school, please, at about 7:15. Thank you. Have a great day.